that? Why do I get so annoyed? Why do I want to be alone all the time, you know?
Living with someone who is so extroverted.
You're afraid that you're not gonna think you're cool.
Did I grow up as an introvert? Yes, I did. I grew up as a massive introvert, and it took me a while to understand what that meant from my friends, and needed to retreat a lot. I found comfort in listening to music in my room on my own. It really wasn't until I started work with an organisation, and we did Myers-Briggs tests and things like that, and we were all made to sort of understand that everyone is very different on the introversion extroversion scale, and learn how to embrace it and deal with how you are.
I've been an introvert all my life, been an introvert since I left the womb. Biggest challenge would definitely have been in a primary school and high school, because kids are mean. And if they think you're boring, they're going to tell you you're boring.
So I actually grew up being very extroverted, and then some stuff happened and my mom got sick and I became an introvert after that. And it was definitely challenging because, you know, when you're in middle school and you're starting to grow up and realize things about yourself, I realized some hard truths about myself, and I looked at everybody hanging out and doing things and I thought, why can't I be like that? Why do I get so annoyed? Why do I want to be alone all the time, you know? And so that was definitely a challenge, is kind of blaming myself and being like, what is wrong with me, you know? When in reality, there was nothing wrong with me, but I didn't know that until later.
So I didn't grow up as an introvert. I would say for me personally, I became an introvert during my undergrad studies. So during my college years, my biggest challenge during that time, it was just being social in general. It was talking to people. It was speaking up for myself. It was actually going to a teacher, asking a question, going to a classmate like, hey, you want to study together, work together. Even just making friends in general was really hard for me.
I'm gonna say that I'm not 100% introvert. I'm sometimes like extrovert is 50% and sometimes I'm introvert. Yeah, so I'm half of that, like introvert and extrovert, because sometimes I like to go to festivals, I like to hang out, but with the right amount of people, the people that I like hanging out with. Whereas like if you're like 100% of introverts, like you wouldn't even want to be in a crowd like festival and stuff like that. I feel like the older I get, the more introvert I become, because you meet different people, you meet a lot of people, sometimes people that are out of your league, they're like so much smarter than you, so it just make your self-esteem really low, and then you just, you know, the self-doubt's coming in and you become more introvert, you know. My biggest challenge was to meet new friends, especially orientations during universities, like freshman year, because it's so hard to step out of the comfort zone and meet new friends. Like you're so worried and conscious about your appearance and how your words gonna sound like when you talk to new friends. Like you're afraid that you're not gonna think you're cool. You know what I mean?
I have a theory. I firmly believe that folks rarely change from one vert to another. Of course, there are always exceptions, but I believe for introverts, if you are one as an adult, chances are you've always been one. So to answer that question, yes, I've always been an introvert. And my biggest challenge, so I believe there are different categories in terms of our vertedness and how we navigate the world. Like, for example, how we think, how we process in our minds, social, which has always been my biggest challenge. Just social adaptation. I definitely feel like the world celebrates extroversion more. So we as introverts feel that we constantly have to navigate that in our day-to-day. So social adaptation, it definitely involves variables that I can't control, which are other people. So that can be pretty challenging in terms of just taking what the world throws at you socially every day. And feeling like you have to be on when you don't necessarily feel like being on. You know, sometimes you feel like chilling and hanging back, and you know, you can't. You're constantly having to adapt. So yeah, that's definitely been and always has been my biggest challenge.
I'm 23 and I still get anxiety flashbacks from things that happened in 4th grade when my teacher just slightly scolded me. And for some reason that just gives me anxiety. and then I end up acting more awkward because I have anxiety. So it's a cycle that repeats.
Yes, I did grow up as an introvert, and my biggest challenge was growing up with a sister. I have a young sister who is so extroverted. She's 4 years younger than me, so the gap is not that huge between us. And I always felt like I was living under her extroverted shadow, and I always felt the need to be more like her, to be bubblier, to be talkative, to be social. So definitely for me, that was the biggest challenge in terms of being an introvert, living with someone who is so extroverted.
Hello friends, I'm Siva. I would like to share the few challenges I have been facing because of my introvert personality. First of all, I will be filled up with the questions by the people who loves me and the people who are around me. I would try my level best to mingle with the people who are around me, and most of the times I will be trying to act like an extrovert also. I can speak for an hour, but after that I will be getting tired of that, and I will keep my mouth shut for some times. Then at the next minute I kept silent. They will put a question on my head like, why are you always silent? I don't know why that question bothers me a lot, because if you ask why are you always speaking, they cannot answer for that question. But anyway, they will keep on asking the question to us. That question bothers me a lot for lots of years.